Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Factions and Fate. I'm Kirby.
And I'm Josh. And today we are going to be discussing deployments, how not to lose turn one, and also we're going to go into the command phase as well. Now, if you haven't looked at our last video, go ahead and do so. It covers some core rules and things that we're only going to be referencing now. We did a detailed version of all that in the last video. So if you get confused during this one, go back, catch up, and it'll explain everything. All right. You ready to get started?
Of course I am. Let's go.
All right. So before you even get to the deployment, remember I mentioned that Warhammer is a game of communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that starts as soon as you walk up to the table and you meet your opponent. That's where you're going to have your army out, they're going to have their army out, and this is where you explain everything that you're bringing to the table.
Okay.
You're going to go over your army rules, your detachment rules, your character abilities, unit abilities, and just point out the specific things that make your army like what it is and good, why you brought it. So for me, once I get done with my characters and those abilities, I keep it pretty simple. I say, hey, this unit right here is really good at killing tanks, or this one's really good at killing infantry. And if you need anything else, like any further detailed explanation, feel free to ask questions, which you should be asking questions and a lot of questions. Because nobody's expected to remember every single thing about this game with all the different armies and different units. You're not going to remember all their abilities, but that's why there's no hidden information in this game. It's a collaborative game, and you and your opponent should be talking, making sure that this game is the best possible game that y'all can play, and that's sharing information. All right, so now we're going to go to the top down and we're going to take a look at what the table looks like with all the terrain and the deployment zones and how that's going to look before we start putting models on the table. And then we'll take a look at what questions you need to ask before you start the deployment phase. All right, so this is your tabletop with all the terrain on there. It's sectioned out into basically into thirds, right? So you have Kirby's deployment zone right here on this side. Then you have what's called no man's land, which falls in between the two players' deployment zones. And then, of course, the other player's deployment zone. Now we've marked out the deployment zones with dice, all right? And this is the tipping point layout for your deployment zone. So it's kind of like a stair almost. So you have a 20-inch section from the back of the board. So you measure 20 inches up, and then you get to the mid board, and then it goes down to 12 inches. So when you're deploying your units, you can deploy behind these dice. All right. And you can use anything to mark your deployment zone. You can buy stuff off of Etsy, stuff like that, that makes it pretty easy to lay this out. I just have a lot of dice, so it's free because I already have it, so I use it. One of the big considerations you're going to have to make when you're coming up to the table to kind of formulate your game plan is going to be, what is your mission objective? Each mission is going to be different as far as your primary card, because it's going to be based off of what your opponent has as well. But in general, you're going to have your home right here. So this will be Kirby's home objective, the expansion objective, the center objective, and then your opponent's expansion and your opponent's home objective. All right. And that's typically how every layout is going to be. This centerpiece can be split. So for reference, I'll show you. The centerpiece is always made up of two large triangle pieces. So sometimes you'll have it separated depending on the layout, depending on like your opponent and the map you guys choose. But if it's split, then there's two central objectives on here. But if it's together, that just makes one large area footprint for one objective. All right. So based off of your mission, that's going to kind of that's where your game plan starts. You're like, okay, I need to take and hold certain objectives, or I need to spread out my units and I need to be in certain places on the board. That's going to kind of determine how you want to somewhat deploy and what your attack plan is going to be. Another thing that's going to determine your initial layout is some of the types of units you have. So there are two types of units. There's several types of units, but there's two different types that have different deployment rules. So your considerations in your deployment are going to be um, the two units that kind of break the general rule of deployment. So normally everything has to be deployed behind your dice inside of your deployment zone. All right. So one unit that can break that is going to be your infiltrating unit. So Kirby has a 5-man squad or 5-man unit of stealth battle suits. They have an infiltrating keyword. All right. So they are infiltrators. That means they can be deployed anywhere on the battlefield. Their only rule is they have to be 8 inches away from the enemy deployment zone. So you would have to deploy them 8 inches away from your enemy's deployment zone. So you could put them right here in the middle, 8 inches away, and that would be a legal move. The only other stipulation that they have is that they also have to be 8 inches away from an opponent's models. So what that means is if you were second in deployment and your opponent had already deployed infiltrate, then you would have to not only stay outside 8 inches away from their deployment zone, but 8 inches away from their models as well. So infiltrate's a good way to take that initial control of the board and screen off your opponent.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So 8 inches from the deployment point. So
Mm-hmm.
this one. And if they had their unit set up, I would have to be also 8 inches away from there as
Right.
well.
Right. I'll just put something out here for visual, a different unit. So if I had deployed first and you go to place your infiltrators,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you would just have to make sure that you are 8 inches outside mine. So you could come as close as this when you placed your units out here.
Okay.
All right.
Again, it doesn't need to be. I guess my question is,
Mhm.
because of the terrain and things like that, it doesn't matter where I am as long as I'm 8 inches. So, like, you know how this was just covering here? As
Yep.
long as I'm 8 inches, whether there's terrain or there or not, I'm good.
Correct. From their deployment zone. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm. So like that's on this side. If you were to come to this side, their deployment zone is only 12 inches up right here.
Okay.
So 8 inches away would put you closer to their line than if you had deployed on this
That
side of the
side.
board. Yep.
Gotcha.
All right. So the other unit is going to be your scout unit. They have the ability of scout. Okay. Now they still get deployed within your deployment zone. So your scout unit still needs to start out within your deployment zone. Now, at the right before the first battle round, there's going to be like a scout step where you make your scout moves, and the first player will make their scout moves first, and then the second player does. So any unit that has the scout ability, it'll say scout, and then it'll have a number. That number is the number of inches you can move. So Kirby's Pathfinder team has a 7-inch move. So during the scout phase, they can move up to 7 inches. And that can be 7 inches in any direction, or you can just choose not to move them and leave them where they are.
Question.
Yep.
So with all the scouts or the scout move,
Yep.
can I take all of my scouts and put them there, or can I leave some scouts back? Like if I wanted to just keep some forward and some back, or do I have to take all of them and be like somewhat like this?
Right. So it's still going to follow the rule of unit coherency.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
You
I
have to
see it.
always maintain unit coherency when you end a move.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And just for, our viewers' sake, can you go ahead and repeat what that means again?
Yep. So coherency is going to be every model has to be at least within 2 inches of another model. So you can spread them out like
As
so.
long as they're 2 inches apart.
Yep. You have to be every model's got to be 2 inches from another.
From the other.
Yep. And you have to be within 9 inches. Everything has to be within 9 inches.
Gotcha.
Okay. So if you ended that's outside of 9 inches, you would be forced to move within that 9 inches.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so with the scout move, you can choose to move in any direction, stay within coherency, and to the max of your scout move ability. So for them, it would be 7 inches. Now, they do have the same stipulation that they have to be outside of 8 inches of all enemy units.
Okay.
So we'll use that same example that your opponent had an infiltrating unit here. Now those were still 8 inches away. But if you were to move this squad up 7 to their max move, so their max move would still be within 8 inches. So it would just be a little less than 7.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yep.
Scouts also have one other ability, and that is they can stay in reserve. And we'll cover strategic reserve here in just a second. They can be within reserve, which means you don't have to place them on the table. You wait until the deployment phase is done, everybody set up all their models, and then during the scout move step, then you can take them out after you've seen all your opponent's army and decide where to place them. The only thing is, they have to be within your deployment zone when you do this, and they don't get that extra movement.
I see.
Yeah, so the ability would be like if you knew your opponent had a whole bunch of infiltrate and you figured you would not be able to use their scout ability, you could choose to hold off and see where everything is placed and then decide which side of the board needed them the most, an extra pair of bodies.
Gotcha. So that would be like, just like how you were saying, the reserve. That's like a good way to know how the board is set up so that you can take these and put them next to other units to have more bodies.
Yes.
Got it.
So your reserve. So when you have your list, all right, we'll move on from scouts and infiltrate. We'll start talking about the last final stage before you start deployment would be determining if you want to have reserves.
Oh, okay.
So your reserve units are going to stay there. They can only come out on the second battle round and third battle round.
Second and third battle
Yep,
round.
second and third for normal rules. We'll talk more about them entering the battlefield when we get to the movement phase, but right now this is just talking about setting them up.
Okay.
So your reserves can be up to 1,000 points. It can't be anything over. So it can't be 1,001 points. It has to be 1,000 points. And that's collectively of the entire unit costs. Like each unit cost would be added together to make that 1,000 points.
Got it.
You can choose not to have any reserve, or you can choose just have one unit in reserve.
Okay.
Okay. So that's up to you. The max is 1,000 points, half your army. The important thing about that, Again, that's something you would disclose before deployment, and your opponent would do the same. That way you can just kind of make a game plan off of it.
Okay.
Because if your opponent has a lot of stuff in reserve, that means later on they could bring them in on either side of the table
Mm-hmm.
during the middle of a round.
Mm-hmm.
They could even deploy them in your deployment zone later on, depending on the
Oh,
type of unit. So there is
gotcha.
some strategy in having reserves.
Okay.
So just something to think about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. All right. So now you've shared with your opponent all the information about your army, and they've shared everything with you. Now it's time to determine who goes first
Heck
with the
yeah.
deployment. So this is determined by a dice roll. So Kirby has a purple dice, I have a blue. And we're just going to roll. Highest one gets to choose who deploys first.
Oh, not
So
even a
2.
ladies first.
Mm-mm.
There you
So
go.
now it would be your choice. All right, so we're going to walk through deployment with a few units. All right, so Kirby, you won the roll off. So now you get to decide who deploys first. Now, this is where all that information about your opponent's army came into play. And remember, you can always ask questions. So we're just going to do a short example.
Okay.
You have 5 units.
Where's my oh,
Yep, those 2, and then you have 3 over there.
okay.
So you'll have 5 units. I have 5 units.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't remember what your opponent said, it's always good before you deploy the first thing to be like, do you have any infiltrate or any scout moves? So infiltrate, remember, they can use that to take sections of the board
Mm-hmm.
and keep you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have infiltrate.
I sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Because I'm not familiar with all of my units yet, you
Mhm.
might have to help me
Yeah.
determine. I know you said these are my infiltrates, these are my scouts.
Yep.
This is considered a vehicle.
Yep.
And these are
You're mounted.
mounted.
Yep.
And this would also be
He's also considered a vehicle, but
a vehicle.
he's a
Okay.
character as well.
All right.
A good rule of thumb is if your opponent has infiltrate and you also have infiltrate,
Uh-huh.
you just deploy first.
Heck yeah, I'll deploy
That
first.
way, because you want to make sure, and it's up to you where you deploy them.
Okay.
For me, I like to make sure that my expansion objective is secured. So I would either put my infiltrate there or somewhere where I know he can't get anywhere over there because he has to stay 8 inches away from me.
Gotcha.
But if you did not have any infiltrate, then it really didn't matter. I would have your opponent go first. That way they start deploying first and giving out the information first.
Okay.
Yep. So you start with your infiltrate.
And this here is my deployment, right?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to go back here and put my infiltrate there. Actually, let's go do that. Then behind, right? Behind.
You don't have to because they're infiltrate.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
are the
that's
ones
right.
that can go anywhere.
Oh, anywhere.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Yep. But they could, if you wanted to, you could put them in your deployment zone. Just because they have the ability to do something does not mean you have to use it.
Okay. So I'm going to put them up there.
Yep. And this is also going to be a good opportunity because you and your opponent, again, it's a collaborative game.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be the best game possible. So you do help each other out. So me being a good opponent would be like, hey, you're kind of in this firing lane. If you want to be completely hidden or obscured by this terrain piece,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to bump these over because you're sticking out a little bit.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep. And that's what being a good opponent is. Just give them advice. If they take it, they take it. If they don't, and they're okay with it, then that's fine too.
Okay.
Just offer up that little bit of help.
I'm going to need all the help. All of it.
So I will put my infiltrate just up here in the corner so I can gain. They're out of line of sight because of the solid rule, and they also have hidden from the previous video.
Yep, that's right.
If they're within the terrain area.
Yep, gotcha.
All right, so now it's your turn. Everything is going to be a you go, I go until we're done.
And this is with all of my characters,
All your units.
all my units.
Yep.
Okay. I am going to put these mounted guys over here.
All right. Just remember your deployment zone. They have to, everything else that you have has to start within the deployment zone. Yep. So behind the dice.
Yeah.
Yep. You can do that.
This guy's also hidden. Just want to hide that a little bit.
You have to stay behind the dice.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Alrighty, I'm gonna put this guy right here behind the dice.
All right. And then another good rule of thumb is to always have something touching your home objective. So, because you have to have something on it to control it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Which he is on it.
oh
yes.
yeah, I was just gonna say his wingspan.
Yeah,
is-
I just wanted to point that out for
Okay.
the viewers that something
Okay.
needs to be on.
Alrighty, and then I'm gonna put these scouts over here behind this thing. Is that a good idea?
Well, that's outside of your deployment.
Well,
So
here's
they would, yep. Remember, it's kind of like a step, right? So you stay behind these dice, and then when it gets to the midpoint, it drops down to 12 inches across. So you can put them up behind the dice, and then during the scout move phase, they would move that. They would get that free movement of 7 inches, so you could put them up behind the wall.
Okay. All right. So that changes everything for me. I'm actually going to leave these here then.
Yep. Be a good spot for them.
Line them up. All right. I don't want to make him look nice, but it's the general area.
And you have one more drop. Mm-hmm.
Right there.
Place my Terminators right here.
Just by looking at this, I feel like my top infiltrates are in a very vulnerable situation. And I feel like I should have pulled them back, but I know I can't do the takey backy thingy.
Yep.
So just by looking at it now, I feel like I just got effed.
Well, you could look at it like that, or they do have stealth, the keyword stealth, that ability. So they're always going to have the benefit of cover, regardless. It could be like a little bit of bait.
Okay.
Almost.
Oh, okay.
You can look at it like that.
All right. I'm going to bait you.
All right. And then, so that's it. You would just go through those steps until everybody was fully deployed.
Okay.
And then after that, we determine who goes first.
But we just rolled. Oh,
that
so
was for the deployment.
Oh, okay.
So this is to determine. You have a roll off to determine first player. All right. And then, so whoever wins gets the highest dice roll has to go first. There's no choosing at that point.
All right.
And then you keep that order for the rest of the game.
Oh,
so
okay.
I would go. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and roll real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I rolled a 4. You rolled a 3. So that means I would have to go first.
Okay.
So now I go first. We'll go to first battle round. I'll go first. You'll get your turn. And then when it comes back to me, That's the start of a new battle round.
Okay.
And we do that over the course of 5 battle rounds.
5 rounds.
It's a general idea of deployment. But now let's cover, just a couple strategies to think about that'll just benefit you later on. Now,
Okay.
these aren't going to be like too deep, big brain moves or anything like that. It's just some simple things to do or to think about that'll help you later on. Because it is possible to have such a bad deployment that it could cost you the game right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's just by not positioning your units appropriately.
Gotcha. Just like how I did those infiltrates up there.
Oh, the infiltrators, yeah, but again,
Could be used to bait you.
yeah, and just to screen me out to keep me from rushing you, right?
Mhm.
So infiltrating units are generally pretty cheap. It just depends on your overall plan for them.
Okay.
If you're just putting them there as like a roadblock, then you achieved your objective.
Okay.
Okay. But if you actually want to get some utility out of them, then you could essentially do the same thing. Keep me kind of away from your lines and off of your objective by just putting them behind the wall.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about would be to make sure that all of your units are behind cover. You can also pre-measure your opponent's units, right? So this is where, asking your opponent questions comes in handy. So you could ask, okay, well, those guys have jetpacks on, so
Can they fly?
yep, they can fly, which we'll talk about when we discuss movement. But you can just ask, what's the general move? What's the movement of them?
Okay.
And your opponent, so 12 inches.
Okay.
Right? So you can measure off from your opponent's base before you deploy something and be like, okay, well, he's deployed them there. They can move 12. And then you be like, well, how far do their guns shoot? And they'll tell you it could be 18 inches. So now their threat range is 12 plus 18. So essentially, they could attack something 30 inches away.
You can't see that.
But they wouldn't be able to see that far. So, if you deploy them behind this wall, in general, the furthest they could go and shoot would be here. Now, there are some guidelines, but you can take your laser. Be like, okay, well, I can tuck all my guys in behind this wall, and they would be safe from any turn 1 shooting.
Got it.
Put them there. Also, vehicles, right? So if I'm going to deploy something, so let's say, this is just thinking about it, right? So if I place my tank right there, if my opponent goes first, what can he do? If he has a vehicle right there, if he moves his units and can get his vehicle up here, you have to ask yourself, could he get line of sight on it? All right. And the question is, yes, I could get line of sight and shoot your vehicle turn 1. So you might consider just starting your vehicle completely behind this terrain and not on it. So now I would not be able to get a turn 1 line of sight because the terrain area blocks it. And then you can also, your vehicle's also in a position to where on your turn, if I moved anything out in the center, you could just move forward and they'll see through that terrain and be able to shoot anything in this pathway or on this terrain piece.
Okay.
Or on this terrain piece. So just simple things like that to think about. Just make sure all your stuff is hidden.
Okay.
Turn 1, but also in a position that you can come out on your turn 1 and either shoot something or move within range of an objective to score points.
Gotcha.
Yep. So like these would be in a good spot because they have the scout 7, and then they would also have their normal movement on your turn. So you could essentially scout and then move onto an objective if you went first.
Okay.
for a second. That's the biggest thing. Just make sure you are completely hidden or behind obscuring terrain.
Okay.
Don't get shot turn one. But that's also, just um, having a good opponent and that communication. Because when you're placing them down, you can also say, "Hey, is there a way for you to see this unit right here?"
Mm-hmm.
And your opponent could be like, "Well, if I move, if I move up, I might be able to get a line of sight. You might want to tap them back a little bit."
Ah,
Just
okay.
kind of like how we did with this unit right here.
Okay.
Earlier. I just said tap them over to get behind that area terrain.
Gotcha.
But you can ask your opponent those things.
Oh, good to know.
Yep. Any questions on that?
Nope. That is something that I am going to think about when I play again, is to pretty much have everyone be hidden and thinking about where I position them and moving them back if there are um, line of sight issues.
Yep. And then when we start adding more things to this, it'll just like this is where you do a lot of your planning for the entire game, right?
Okay. Yeah.
This is like kind of like your planning starts when you build your list, but then
Mhm.
once you see your opponent's list and what mission you're playing, then you got to start planning even more. You need to know what are you going to do on your first turn,
Mhm.
but you also need, whether you are player one or player two, but you also need to look 2 turns in advance.
Yeah.
So once I do that, what's my second turn going to be?
Yeah.
And kind of position your units like that. Because if you start everything back at the back of the board, just think of how long that's going to take you to get up to here.
Got it. Mhm.
So that would be kind of placing your stuff out of position, and you'd be basically you'd be running uphill the entire game trying to catch up with your opponent.
Mm.
So just some small things to think about. Now that we're moving on to the command phase, this is one way to look at this is kind of like kind of a bookkeeping step. In game, this step normally takes about 30 seconds once you get the hang of it. It's very quick and easy, but we'll break it down. This will take a few minutes to discuss, but we're just going to talk about everything that goes on during it. So at the if you at the top of your screen, you'll see the Factions and Fate banner, right? You'll see tens up there. That's going to be the victory points, right?
Mhm.
So normally, with any game, you can get 45 points of primary, 45 points of secondary. So that's only 90 points, but
Okay.
max score is 100. The 10 points comes from the GW or competitive rule that they use. You get 10 points for having a battle ready army. And that just means your army is painted and based with 3 colors
3
minimum.
colors.
All right. So that's where those 10 points come from. So in general, if you're playing, no, you don't have to have a painted army to play. You can have some models missing paint. Um, if you're just playing for fun with friends, at that point, just give everybody, both people 10 points. Don't worry about the rule, or just play to a max score of 90 and start at 0.
Okay.
All right. But that's why we each have 10 points. Okay. And then next, you're going to see CP. So CP is kind of like the currency of the game. Each person gets 1 CP at the start of every command phase. All right, so you get one during my command phase. You also get another one when it goes to your command phase.
Okay.
Same thing with me.
Gotcha.
And the CP is used on stratagems. So you can use stratagems to buff your units during the game.
Yep, and I remember those buffs.
Yeah, so there are stratagems that can be used when you build your army in your app.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at them and it'll give you a breakdown of all the stratagems your army can use and in what phase they can use them in. So it tells you step by step where you can use them, how much CP it costs, and what it does.
Okay.
And like I said, every army has specific ones. So, and then there are some that are called core stratagems that everybody gets. But that's what the CP is for. If you're playing at home, obviously you can track it in an app, or you can do the simple thing of just have 2 different D20s, keep track of them on the board. That way it's a visual for everybody to see, and everybody can kind of help keep track of it.
And I'm assuming D20 is dice with 20 numbers on it.
Yes.
Okay, just, I just need to cover the basis for everybody, for everyone who's new, like me.
And then also during the command phase, this is where you find out what your secondary missions are going to be.
All right.
So there is a deck of cards. It is the chapter approved mission deck. So they come out with one every year. So this is the 2025 to 26 version of it. And it comes with all your primary missions and also 2 secondary decks, for one for you, one for your opponent. All right, so this is the attacker. I'm going first, so I'm using the attacker deck. It's 19 cards. You shuffle them, and then during your command phase, you will draw 2 at random. So behind enemy lines and burden of trust. Behind enemy lines, it's a first battle round, so we can put that one back. It says there you can redraw it if it's the first battle round. All right, so the secondaries, that'll be on top of your primary. So it'll give you some goals, some things that you have to do to collect points during the game. And remember, points is how we win, not by just killing your opponent's army. These will stick with you for the rest of the game until you complete them. Once you complete them, you choose. So if I meet all the criteria of cleanse, so this is to perform an action on objectives. Once I complete that, I can either go for the 2 point, where I just cleanse one objective, or if I go for 2 or more, I can go for the 5 points. But I have to decide if I can get the 2 now and I want the points, then I do the objective, discard it, and only score 2 points. If I want to wait to another battle round to try to get the full 5, then I can hold on to it and not score the 2 points and just wait. There's no hand limit on this, right? So every battle round, if I'm not scoring my secondaries, I still draw 2 more, and I would just keep them until I can score them in a later round, up to a max of 15 secondaries per turn.
Okay.
So if you hold them all till 4th and 5th battle round, potentially you could score 15 points of secondaries on both turns to get 30 points. Another step within the command phase is, we talked about it briefly last video, but we talked about battle shock. Okay. So battle shock would be, we use some of my models as an example. If I had moved this 5-man unit of scouts out and you had shot half, got me to half strength, so current strength is 5. You got me to half strength or below half strength, which you would have to take out 3 because you can't do 2.5. If you got me down to 2, on my next command phase, they would have to take what's called a battle shock test. And let's say I'm on this objective right now. So you do a leadership check. Their leadership is a 6+. So you roll 2 dice, and you have to get 6 or higher with the 2 dice. So that'd be a 7. So they would pass. So they would have no negative effects. Right?
Okay.
But let's say I had rolled a 5 and they failed their leadership check. That would mean they would be battle shocked. They would lose all their OC. So even though they're 2 OC apiece, they would now be at 0. So instead of having 4 and controlling this objective, I'd be at 0 and I would lose it. So that could cost me primary. That would also allow you to just move, 1 unit on and take control of that objective, and you wouldn't have to kill them this turn, right?
OC is what again?
Your objective control.
Oh, yep. Gotcha.
Yep. And then battle shock, if you fail it, you have to take a battle shock test, or if you're at half strength, you have to take a battle shock test every command phase.
Gotcha.
To see if you pass it or fail it.
Okay.
The other negative to it is I can no longer use stratagems on them.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So there are stratagems. There's one that you can use in the command phase. Instead of rolling this dice to see if they're battle shocked, I could spend the 1 CP to automatically pass a battle shock test for them
Oh, gotcha.
rather than risking the roll.
Gotcha.
So if it was something critical, let's say I had moved them on there
Uh-huh.
to try to take control of that point from you,
Okay.
I wouldn't want to lose the point.
Yeah.
So I might just auto pass it so I can score points. And then, but if they fail it, obviously you can't do any stratagems on them. They don't control the point, but they can still operate as normal.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, that's it. So that would be all of your command phase stuff. I know it was kind of a lengthy explanation of just a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
But during the game, like I said, command phase, you breeze through it in just a couple seconds and you go on to the movement phase.
Okay.
So, all right. So that's it. That's the command phase or the deployment phase and the command phase. So just key things to remember: stay hidden, stay obscured, make sure you communicate. And the command phase, it's extremely simple. It'll go by real quick once you get the hang of the steps. Just, remember in this game, everything has kind of an order to follow. Any questions?
No.
Anything else we need to cover? Do you
I
feel like you understand
yes.
those two phases a little
Yes.
better now?
Yes, I do.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and next video will be the movement phase. So make sure you tune in. All right. Thank you.